Okay, year 10 and welcome to another home learning video lesson on one of the anthology poems. So today we're actually going to look at Love's Philosophy by Shelley. We're going to look at this one because I am aware that quite a few of you missed the lesson when we annotated it in your anthology. So what I am going to suggest is in this video I've included a line by line annotations as well as an unmissable quotation section. So if you haven't already got it annotated, please make sure that you do annotate a copy of the poem from watching this video. Okay, so as always you're going to need one of the sheets sent by Miss Christie for the home learning work, of course your poetry knowledge organiser, and you're going to need your anthology or a blank copy of the poem if your anthology is still at school. If you've already got the poem annotated, that's brilliant. Turn to that page in your anthology. If you don't, please make sure that page is open in your anthology too. Okay, so as with any lesson, we're going to start with a knowledge recall. We're going to do today's recall on the poem Love's Philosophy to see what those of you who were in the lesson can remember. Okay, so 5 nice simple questions then. We've got, what does the speaker of the poem want to achieve? What persuasive technique is used at the end of each stanza in the poem? Why is natural imagery used in the poem? Why are occasional half rhymes used in the poem? And finish the quotation. Nothing in the world is. What word is missing from the end of that quotation? Okay, year 10, if you want to pause the video for 7 minutes, give yourself a chance to answer those questions in full sentences, please. Note them down on a bit of paper and then we'll green pen them on the next slide. Okay, year 10, so if you want to get your green pen out and let's go through and mark our knowledge retrieval then. Okay, so as always, give yourself a ticking green pen if you got it correct, or please make sure you write the correct answer in if you got it incorrect. So number 1, nice and simple, the speaker wants to persuade his love interest to be with him. That is the entire purpose of the poem. This man wants to persuade this woman that she should be with him. Okay, number 2, each stanza ends with a rhetorical question. Okay, give yourself the mark if you got rhetorical question. This is used so the speaker's love interest must pause and reflect on the reasons they could be together. Of course, number 3, natural imagery is used to convey the idea that their love and being together is natural and right. Number 4, okay, the half rhymes seem to symbolise the discord that the speaker feels about his situation and not being with his love interest. And number 5, nothing in the world is single. Okay, and that was the missing word from that quotation. So as always, give yourself a mark out of 5. Hopefully you're hitting the 4 out of 5 mark because that gives us the 80% that we should be looking for in our knowledge retrieval quizzes. Okay then, so let's start with a summary of the poem. So the poem is a highly persuasive poem and the speaker is literally seeking to persuade his love interest to be with him. Okay, and there is an element of manipulation. He seeks to do anything he can to persuade her to be with him. And the speaker suggests that being single is unnatural, that the couple not being together is unnatural. And he compares love to the natural world, and he suggests that everything in the natural world is in a couple, nothing in nature is single. Therefore, he is confused by the fact their love is not, they are not together, they are single. Okay, and the speaker also uses religious imagery to persuade. He puts forward the idea that it is God's wish for the pair to be together. He feels that she cannot deny him because that is God's wish. It is God's intention for the pair to be together. Okay, so if you want to pause the video there, please, and complete the summary of the poem box. And if you are annotating in your anthology, put a little summary of the poem in that top line above the poem. Okay then, so we're actually going to do a line by line annotation of this poem. If you've already got this annotated in your anthology, of course feel free to add anything in, but if you haven't got it annotated in your anthology, listen through to all of my comments and annotate as you go, pausing the video if you need to. Okay, so The fountains mingle with the river and the rivers with the ocean. Okay, we've got the natural imagery here, which is conveying the idea that the pair being together is natural because the fountains and the river are together and the river and the oceans are together. So it's also this feeling that everything in nature is together, so they should be together. I also think it seems to reflect the speaker's insecurities and feelings of isolation. He feels as though he is the only thing in the world not to have a partner, that even the natural world around him, everything has a partner. And then we've got the winds of heaven mix forever. Now the imagery of heaven is obviously religious imagery, and it evokes a sense that their love and them being together would be blissful. But we've got the natural imagery combined with the religious imagery, winds of heaven. So it's perhaps emphasising that their unity should be inevitable, that everything in the world, both religious, both natural, so both real and spiritual, or both physical and spiritual, is together, so they should be too. And then we come on to this very key quote of nothing in the world is single. Of course, that emphasises the key message in the poem that he wants to pass on to his intended reader. That nothing in the world is single, so they should not be single either. It is natural to be in a couple, and it is not natural for them not to be in a couple. And it reflects his belief that their current situation is unnatural. And he wants to remind the woman that she should be not be alone. It is not right for her to be single, and therefore she should not have the pain of being alone. Now, another really important quote, all things by a law divine. Okay, so the use of religious imagery here is, of course, again designed to persuade. But the quote is a very interesting one because he is suggesting we've got the connotations of law here, and it's almost like the intended recipient of the poem has a duty, almost an obligation to be with him, and that is coupled with the idea and the sacred connotations of divine, which of course are implying that it is God's will for them to be together, and that by her not being with him is actually going against God's will. Now, of course, we've got this persuasive rhetorical question ending the stanza, why not I with thine? And of course, the persuasive rhetorical question forces her to question, why is she not with him? This is and reflect on his message that them not being together is unnatural. Now, we move on to the second stanza, and you'll notice here we've got the personified imagery of nature, with the mountains kissing heaven and the waves clasping one another. Now, of course, this natural imagery now takes on a sense of a sort of physical intimacy between the objects in nature, with kiss and clasp and those quite powerful verbs. So does this reflect his own desires for physical intimacy? Now, you've got no sister flower would be forgiven if it disdained its brother. Now, this is almost threatening. It suggests that the natural consequence of her rejection would be a punishment, that she could not possibly be forgiven, perhaps by God, if she is not with him, that she would face eternal retribution. And that's almost quite threatening in tone there. Now we've got the sunlight clasps the earth and the moonbeams kiss the sky. Now the moon can often be seen as a symbol of eternity, and the sunlight could be a symbol of hope. So could this reflect his desire to be with her forever, and the empty darkness he almost feels without her love? Also note that the moon controls the sea and the tide. So could this reflect his desire to take control in this relationship, and perhaps force almost her to be with him, to control, manipulate her to be with him? And if you notice the repetition of those verbs linked to physical intimacy, and the kissed and clasped have been repeated. And then again, our stanza ends with a rhetorical question, and another this persuasive technique is used to force her to almost think, well, of course, it's almost like the answer is she has to answer yes, that it doesn't require an answer, but it forces her to think that she has to be with him. And what is with all this sweet work? If thou kiss me, thou kiss not me. So she can't kiss anybody else. That would be unnatural. He is almost implying there. So if we consider our line by line analysis there, and hopefully you've been able to catch up if you missed those line by line annotations, but we do want to think about our unmissable quotes section also on that sheet. And I've just picked out some of the key quotes and highlighted those on this slide. So if everybody wants to pause the video just here, make sure that you have got your annotations completed for this poem, but also make sure that you've got your key quotes section completed with your analysis also. Okay, so now we're going to look at the structure and form of the poem and what is significant about that. So the first point I wanted to make is that in simple terms, the poem is short and concise. And the short and concise length of the poem reflects the simple message that Shelley has, or the speaker has, for the intended reader. And of course, it being short and relatively simple in what it is about, and its message emphasises perhaps that he views it as simple and obvious that they should be together, and there only really is one key persuasive message in the poem. Now, the rhyme scheme, as we already looked at in our knowledge recall, is really significant in the poem, okay? Because the rhyme scheme is disrupted by half rhymes, okay? So there is a full rhyme scheme throughout the poem. However, occasionally the words that rhyme aren't full rhymes, they are just half rhymes. And this could reflect the discord, I've put a typo in there, I've put that in twice. This could reflect the discord of the situation and how her rejection of him, he feels, disrupts nature and the natural order of things, and how it almost disrupts the natural rhythm of life and almost the natural rhythm of how things should be, that she rejects him. And just to note also that this is also reflected and symbolised, I think, by the dash at the end of each stanza, because that creates an unnatural pause, as does the rhetorical question. And by ending the stanzas in this way, it creates this unnatural pause which reflects how it is unnatural, perhaps, that she rejects his love.